Hello, everybody. I'm Manny Rivelo, CEO of Forcepoint, and today with me is Karl Triebes, Chief Product Officer at Forcepoint, and we're here to talk about data security. It's great to have you on the show today.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Manny. Great to talk to you about this. You know, we've been doing cybersecurity for years, and I'd love to get your take on why data security has become so important now.
Well, I mean, everything that we do in our businesses, in government, across all industry is about data. I mean, data is the heartbeat. It's the soul of organizations that we're all dependent on data. And safeguarding that data is vital. It's incredibly difficult for organizations because, you know, we want our data to basically get intelligence and knowledge of how to compete in the marketplace. Our hackers want our data to basically hold us hostage to some degree and take money away from us and take our intellectual property. So organizations are dealing with lots of tools out there. We know their data has gone everywhere. It's no longer inside the enterprise. It's now everywhere. They're trying to sort out what tools enterprises they use. They know they have to deal with a lot of regulation and compliance, depending where you are and do business in the world. And on top of that, their staff may not have the skill sets to protect their data everywhere. So I'm super excited because we're launching 2 products and 1 tool to help enterprises deal with data. And the first is an AI-powered data security posture management tool. It's an incredibly powerful AI tool, which we refer to as a DSPM tool inside the industry, which helps you discover your data, and this is structured, unstructured data, on-prem, off-prem, helps you classify that data. So what type of data is it? Is it HIPAA data, PII data, for example, confidential data? And it does that through an AI-powered tool, so itself classifies that data very intelligently for you, and then helps you understand the risk of that data, what's data that is at high risk, or what data may not be at high risk, and it helps you remediate that. So that's the first thing we launched. The second thing we launched is we launched a data security everywhere offering. So the way to think about that is, can we push one policy and tell your email channel, your web channel, your cloud channel, your device, think about your USB channel, your printer channels, all your channels that a user interfaces with when they do their business, and provide data protection. So mostly like think about DLP inside the marketplace. So now one policy across all channels to govern where your data goes. And then the last thing we did is we are offering a simple tool. We call it a data risk assessment tool, or DRA, which you could deploy on your environment to help you understand your security risk with your data and mitigation actions. So we're super excited about that, and we're getting out to market to help enterprises deal with their data at a new level and offer the compliance and security that they need.
No, I think it's awesome to have a platform that's putting this all in one place, including the advanced AI technology that we're using to help, provide that visibility, that classification, the ability for customers to better understand where their data is, what it is, and then provide mechanisms for us to protect that data all at the same time. Take for example, business data. You have intellectual property you're trying to protect, employee information like, their social security numbers, things like that. Other areas like HIPAA, that's a big area too. In fact, you see a lot of the hacks that have happened in the last few years. It's been targeted against your medical data. There's other regulations about data sovereignty, GDPR, data residency requirements. And in fact, they're turning up those regulations in specific countries that'll have strict fines, like India, for example, based on that. So it's really key for organizations to have an easy way to classify, protect, and then manage that data effectively. And that's precisely what we're here talking about today.
Yeah, and Karl, it's a great point. Compliance isn't just about ticking a box. Let's be honest, it's about protecting people's information, it's about protecting their rights. And I don't know about you, but the one thing that you never want to do is send that email to all your customers telling them that information has been lost. And if you have to send that email, you better understand where the data is, because from a regulatory perspective, that is a requirement, right? To know exactly if anything's been lost and how to remediate it. So compliance is a big issue that we're all facing with, and we need simple solutions. We need solutions to help us discover the data, classify the data, as I pointed out, to help risk mitigate that data, and lastly, for sure, ensure that that data does not leave your enterprise unwanted. So compliance is not a ticking box, it's a mandate. Financial and reputational harm are two great examples of the risks that organizations are faced with and the risk that every CISO is faced with out there. And it really starts with step one, discovering and understanding where your data is. So Karl, maybe we could just talk a little bit about how Forcepoint's DSPM solution helps an organization understand the risk.
Absolutely. The key area that we focus on is providing visibility. That's really being able to show organizations where their data is and what their data is. We classify that data and present it in an easy way that prioritizes it so they can quickly come to a conclusion what they need to do about it. One of the challenges actually is trying to find where all that data lives, because it can live in different places. For example, like shadow or dark data, that can be out in various clouds, that can be living on endpoints, disk drives, things that are kind of laying about where data is just hanging out, but nobody really has any visibility into that. So we go out, we discover that. Often you find like redundant, obsolete, and other types of data living within kind of your structured environments, SharePoint, other places. Another key thing is like a lot of times there's uncontrolled application access. Look at healthcare, your medical records, a lot of times the wrong permissions, things like that are being set on these various different systems. And so it's easy to access that data, or at least the permissions are broken so you can access that. And then of course, then our dashboard then shows you, again, like I said, takes all this data, shows it to you in a prioritized view. So it's very easy to kind of go through that and then again, make decisions about what to do with your data and what the disposition is. And then create policies, deploy these policies to the various endpoints and the things that are under management by Forcepoint One and protect that data.
And I know that we're kings at discovering data because we don't use simple tools like regex to find that. We actually have an AI mesh technology that helps us do that. So we can go through millions and hundreds of millions of files, right, in very fast periods of time. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, in fact, our AI mesh is very advanced. It uses, we built all our own models and our whole own AI backend that we leverage then as part of this AI mesh to go out and do that discovery and classification process. So from the dashboard then, we provide then features for automated and manual remediation, right? So you're able to automatically remove like duplicate copies, for example, right? That tends to be a big problem. Fix permission settings. So that's actually one of the number way hackers tend to get into things is incorrect permissions. Things are set at the wrong level. You can quarantine or isolate files. You can move files to move them to the appropriate backends, things like that. So with all these things that dashboard provides, now you're able to see, classify, manage your data, and know exactly the risks that you're in based upon what that data is.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I know we could discover millions of files an hour, so it's pretty great to be able to do that on-prem, off-prem, structured, unstructured, and have an AI tool doing that. It'd be kind of hard doing that on your own, saying good file, bad file, PII file, HIPAA file. So it's great to have that type of technology, which also takes the human error out of it.
Absolutely, yeah. It removes that guessing, signature-based guessing, because you can create millions of signatures, but those are hard to manage, look at, and things are always evolving and changing. So having this generative AI backend that really can understand the depth of the file, look and see specifically, understand the context of the information, and then present that view of the data that we do in our dashboard, that really allows customers to have a much deeper view, a better understanding exactly what this data is and make better decisions about how to manage it.
Excellent. We can help you discover your data. We can help you classify your data. We can help you risk assess your data. And we have an incredible, like we talked about, AI-powered mesh to do all of that. So it's kind of almost hands-free, and it's a self-learning mechanism with our own large language models and everything that's in there. But we go way beyond basic DSPM. And the reason we go way beyond is because the whole concept of intelligently remediating the risk is what's important. And think about that as DDR, or data risk and remediation capabilities. And we do that in a very unique way, different from everybody. So Karl, maybe we could talk a little bit about our capabilities there and how we go about doing that.
Yeah, so let me touch on the automation, because that particularly helps with data detection and response. So if you take our dashboard, we provide built-in features for automated and manual remediation. So one example would be automatically removing duplicate copies of files or other pieces of data. We fix file permission settings. That actually is one of the big areas where hackers tend to exploit, is they'll come in and see they have the wrong settings. They'll exfiltrate those files, and then they'll get things like passwords or other types of permissions out of those things. Another key area is being able to quarantine or isolate a file for further analysis, or in some cases, like for forensics, if there's been a breach for some reason, they want to be able to isolate and see this and be able to have a trail for these things. Another key thing is being able to move files, let's say from an insecure to a secure location, so they can better, manage their backend data stores. And then finally, and I think one of the key areas to think about is orchestration of workflows, to be able to automate, corrective actions as the discovery happens and then close that loop dynamically. So basically have a much more rapid time to respond to when they see these different data types or different data files or things like that being created or being stored somewhere out in their infrastructure.
Yeah, so it's great to see that the solution not only offers DSPM capabilities, but DDR capabilities, so you could do both. And obviously we'll continue to build on that. That's pretty amazing and awesome to be able to offer that to all of our customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a reason why Forcepoint has been in the data security market for over 2 decades. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. We're well recognized by industry analysts, Forrester, Gartners of the world. I've always commented on our capabilities here. And out of the box, we try to make it easy to protect your data. We have over 1,700 out of the box classifiers. We have compliance in over 150 regions, 83 countries in the world, just out of the box capabilities to really enable you to really protect your data all the way from an endpoint all the way through the cloud and a whole bunch of use cases in between. So Karl, I'm kind of curious, why does that matter? Why does endpoint to cloud protection matter?
Absolutely, Manny. So think of Forcepoint 1 as the complete life cycle for data security, but one that presents you everything in a single pane of glass view. You can see the data, you can control it, and you can protect it. So together, Forcepoint DSPM and Forcepoint 1 data security gives you advanced data discovery, classification, prioritization, and preventative enforcement capabilities. So that's critical. Those are all critical. Now, the other thing I would say about Forcepoint 1 data security is it's like an always-on guard for your data. It allows you to protect data on file uploads, attachments, downloads, chat messages, and then like downloading information from websites. That's one big area also of exfiltration as well. We make sure that your data is safe and doesn't matter where it's at or what stage of the journey it's on. We will protect that data. Forcepoint risk adaptive protection adds continuous monitoring and analysis of user interactions with data, and it facilitates automated enforcement from DLP, all based on the level of a user's risky behavior.
Yeah, which is pretty powerful. What that basically is saying is if my behavior changes, you're able to change my security permissions or control. In other words, if I start acting out of the norm, you could raise my risk score, which could change my policy, and now I could be blocking versus allowing kind of traffic to flow.
Yeah, absolutely, and it does it dynamically. It uses the history, it uses a number of different factors to essentially add or subtract from that risk score. And then based on that, then take actions or flag or do whatever actions are necessary to deal with that risk.
Yeah, the way I think about that is security is allow and block, and there's a big gray area in the middle. We take that gray area and allow you to apply context based on the user's behavior, and in that gray area, can change the policy depending on how a user reacts. So it gives you a lot more control across your security posture for your data and where data is allowed to flow or not flow.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the other important aspect of that is typically you have a baseline of what users typically do. And when you start getting outside of that baseline, then that may or may not be a risky behavior. And those are things that you want to actually watch and kind of keep after as things are going. And then, and also typically exfiltrations or attempts to get at your data don't just happen in one shot. They're usually over a protracted interval of either one user or multiple users trying to come in and then exfiltrate or do something with that data in an appropriate way.
Yeah. So what's amazing is we have 2 great solutions, but the DSPM solution, which also has DDR in it, and then we have this data security protection everywhere, which I want to talk about. But the 2 work better together. It's like peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter and chocolate, right? I mean, I kind of it's a marriage made to be together. Can you give us some examples of what that means and how does it work in action in the real world?
Yeah, so when you say data security everywhere, we mean everywhere. It doesn't matter if your device, it could be your mobile phone, it can be your laptop, it could be some other device in your infrastructure, it could be online, it can be offline. We'll protect the data. We'll make sure that data doesn't come out. email. Email is critical to any business these days, but it's also a big area where data can sneak out across. It's very easy for somebody to say, cut and paste something into that email, or add an attachment, or even try to spoof the attachment with different file types, spoof the file type. We can actually detect all that dynamically and prevent that data from getting out. There's other areas too, web, you look at the web channel. So web's a big point where they try, data can be exfiltrated. So we protect that regardless of where you're at, the state of the device, or who you are in the organization. We will stop that data from getting out.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. I mean, email is obviously the most common channel, but the cloud is a channel, the web is a channel. Then you have all the tools like chat channels, whether it be a Slack channel, or a Teams channel, or any other channel of the nature, USB drives, device drives, printers, Bluetooth devices. When you start thinking about all the ways one communicates, and really everywhere, whether it be in the office or at home or your third place, whatever your third place may be, it's a pretty powerful combination to be able to discover the data and then classify your data and then ensure that it doesn't leak any of those channels.
Yeah, those are great examples. Same with devices. For example, when I do email, a lot of times I'm working on my laptop, or maybe I get on a web version of my email and go out that way, or I'm on my mobile phone. And often I'm going between all three of these on any given day. Well, you need something that actually can track this, have a single policy to do that. That's where Forcepoint One comes in, is that it can look at all these different devices across these different applications and provide that one point of security for your data.
Or even using a simple example is 2 email channels, a corporate provided channel and a personal channel, and copy and pasting from one to the other, or forwarding from one to the other. Those use cases are also covered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. It's a great solution. So let's talk a little bit about productivity and cost savings for an organization. What we're doing is we're trying to create 2 things: bring visibility and enforcement in a unified approach for your data across the full life cycle, from the discovery of that data, classifications I mentioned, risk assessment, remediation, protection capabilities, and tie that into a unified approach with our Forcepoint One DSPM, including DDR, and Forcepoint One data security solutions across the market, and really make that as simple as possible for an organization.
Yeah, I totally agree, Manny. Forcepoint is unique in that we not only help security teams focus on the security problems, really understand the data and manage all that, as well as their applications and the risks associated with that. We also provide automatic methods to automate and remediate those issues, and that's what's key. And the reason we're able to do that is because we've integrated this into our Forcepoint One system. And this system provides essentially that unified policy framework that allows you to tie these different channels, if you will, policies associated with those, to your data policies. Because we sit where we sit and the data that goes through us, we're able to do that in a way that others just can't. So what that means then is now our customers don't need to manage a bunch of different point solutions. They get it all in one with this unified policy framework. And that simplifies their task of operating and managing their security infrastructure and their products.
Yeah, it's an end-to-end simplicity through the integration of the tool set. It allows organizations to use fewer tools, It allows organizations to not have gaps in tools when tools don't talk to tools, And actually it translates into better efficacy and lower cost, And it's kind of interesting because the cost, and we've had many customers talk to firms like IDC who are saving over 30%, from using these kinds of solutions and integrated solutions and getting greater security as they go out there. So really our mission is quite simple, Is to simplify data security is our mission, and to do that everywhere. And when I say everywhere, it's like we talked, employees' devices, the cloud, the web, printers, you name it, Chat channels, just about anywhere, whether the device be online or offline. We want to make sure we create that protection for every single enterprise out there and every single user.
Yeah, and our solutions are designed to be simple, easy to manage, and this allows organizations to focus on what they do best while we do what we do best.
So data is the lifeblood of everything we do. We all depend on data. Data differentiates us as an individual, data differentiates us as an organization, and we have to unleash that data to be and drive productivity and differentiation in the world. But with that comes a lot of risk, as we're talking about. There's risk around compliance risk, there's risk around losing your data, there's risk around penalties, there's risk around reputational damage. So how do we go about doing that is what we are talking here about. We have a solution to drive that into every single enterprise inside the world. And that is the combination of DSPM and DDR technology with data security everywhere, and the two coming together, which allows you to reduce your costs, make your employees much more productive in what they're doing, and mitigate the risk that you have with unleashing that data inside the enterprise, because we protect it across all channels. So we will help you identify your data, classify your data through AI and really elegant AI solutions, risk mitigate your data, right? And then actually protect that data across every single channel. We've had over 20 years experience of doing this inside the industry. We're really proud of our solutions, and we're really proud of where we've taken it to the next level to ensure that you can have data security everywhere. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you soon.